go now to aviation consultant Gerry Soejatman, who's in Jakarta. Gerry, thank you so much for joining us. What do we know about the safety record and the fleet of Asiman Airlines?
Well, typically with all the Iranian airlines, they've been under sanctions for years, so they have been unable to get new aircraft until very recently. So this particular aircraft, I believe, is not new. Most of the fleet in the country is not new, and they're in dire need of replacement aircraft for new aircraft. So no, it's not new. So it does have an effect on the safety record in terms of concerns, but so far they've been doing pretty well. But we also have to remember that last week we had an incident with another airline. So the age of the aircraft is becoming an urgent concern.
We had initially been told, the reports that were coming out were that everybody on board was killed. Now, just in the past few, sort of half an hour, we've been told that it's possible there are some survivors. I mean, how likely is it that you have survivors in a crash where this plane has crashed in a mountainous area? I mean, how unusual would it be for there to be survivors in this sort of case?
Well, unlikely, but it doesn't mean that there isn't any. I think they were premature in announcing that everybody died because nobody reached the crash site, and only now that they've reached it. But again, sorry, they haven't reached it. They're still getting there. I mean, we haven't had the confirmation that they've reached it. So until they reach the site, I don't think there is going to be any confirmation that everybody is dead or are there any survivors. But the crashes into mountains, there is cases in the past where there are survivors. It really does depend on the type of impact that they have and the cause of the accident, and also how long how long will it take until the rescuers get there? Because again, the Zagros Mountains can go up to over 10,000 feet. It is winter. It is very cold, and it's going to be dark soon.
You sort of touched on it earlier, but this aircraft is 24 years old. Is age an issue when flying in a country which has been under international sanctions, which possibly limit the import of new aircraft and or aviation equipment?
It is always a concern. I mean, Iran has been a concern for a number of years, but they've done very well in terms of coping with the sanctions and how they can go around it. Rightly or wrongly. I mean, they've been managed to source newer aircraft. There were cases where they bought aircraft to cannibalize in order to be able to obtain spare parts because they couldn't source it from the spare parts market. But again, as planes get older, it does become more difficult because the requirement for replacement parts becomes more and more. So, it was a great hope when the Iran deal came, with the sanction for the airliners was sort of lifted, and, we saw massive orders. But, they're not delivered yet, and we're still dealing with the older aircraft. So it is becoming more and more urgent. We're now having airplanes that are 40 years old. This aircraft, by Iranian standards for Western type aircraft, it's not the oldest.
Definitely a concern. Thank you so much for that. That's Gerry Soejatman, an aviation consultant.